carry around, come back. I take the knife from him, cut. Cut. Come again with those like 1, 2, carry around this way here, come, up, spin, hold them up, move. You come with the straight, carry, up, give me spin, spin around, up, move. Come again, straight, one straight knife. Rock, in, around, here, slide, knee in, rock, go around, cut. This way here, snap. Yeah, lay back up. Time I strike at him, he catch my arm. I'm striking, bang, 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 baby. Head, pop his name. This time he throw his head and it's straight in, right? Break this arm, parry, pop this way here. Bring it down, look in the eyes. Move. Everything has to be natural, but ain't natural, ain't right. Grab me one hand, I slap him. Why you grab me? Go back around. Use your finger, but use control. That's his control. Spin around. Move. You grab me one hand, I slap him. Move here. Move. Everywhere you hit him, there has to be a way to send a signal to his brain that he understands that he's in trouble. You grab me high, I grab him low. Then, back off, here. Right? I ain't about trying to look pretty, because I'm not trying to impress you emotionally. I'm trying to get you a lesson. A lesson taught is a lesson learned. Learn the lesson because everything I get is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm planning to be the best. I don't plan to be the last of the best. I plan to be something. So, blue. Right? You come in here with the strike punch, I move this way here. As I'm moving in, I'm popping the arms, I come here, spin them up, pop, we go around here, right? I like to move here because that's supposed to show me this move here, right? Move down here, slide, throw, high, move. Situation you on the ground. I'm here. Man right here. Check me. Stop his leg in. High velvet. Put his hand here. Wait. Alright, you sit. Right? Choke me again. Right? Let's slide his leg in. Push this one back in. Arm bar. He comes again. Choke me. Slide here again. Move this one here. Bring his hand here like this here. Bring his leg around here. Bring his leg. The most important thing is you use in the street. When a person going to grab you, you spit in his face. When you spit in his face, all these nerves are down. And all these nerves are in. That big, here, right? Elbow. Right here. See? Take it down here. Right? Slide it on in. And finish. One feet.
Portrayed martial arts in such a way that many people have a misconception about the art itself. You see what I mean? You have many people who practice the art, who study the art for the discipline, for the control. I remember when I was in Japan, right? I spent a couple of years there when I was a younger man. And when I went there, I noticed every morning, without fail, you could go out into the villages and see the whole community out there doing katas or forms. Right. You see what I mean? Exactly. And it wasn't something that was done as a show off or to show how skillful you was in art, but it was a discipline. Do you find that kind of a mentality can be developed within African Americans who would not take this art or the skills that they've learned and take it into the community and be more destructive than they are productive?
Right, first of all, the word discipline, we got to understand what that word means.
Okay, please.
See, discipline itself means to have the ability to take charge of oneself at all times. You mean that you should have control of your mind, your body, and have a strong spirit. Regardless of what your problems is, if you have a setback, that really is progress because of the fact that it makes you be aware of the situation that you put yourself in, and you shouldn't get in that situation again. You see, so like, you know, discipline is something that all of us have, but the thing is that we don't know how to focus on it, and we don't know how to develop it. And this is what SWAM is about. See, SWAM is an igniting energy, or igniting force, you see, that basically perpetuate the positive movement in man, to help him to be able to develop himself to his total potential.
Well, maybe we'll get back to that so that you can explain to our viewers exactly what you mean when you're talking about develop the total potential. But from a martial artist perspective, do you see martial art as a means of having a sense of protection for your own life as you move around in the community? Because I'm sure that, you know, most people right now are afraid to leave their homes, you know what I mean? Do you get a sense of security within yourself by having the skills that you develop in the art?
Well, most definitely. One point that I must bring out that people fail to understand, that martial arts is 10% physical, 90% mental. Meaning that's why we say self-defense, self-discipline. Self is you. You must develop the one within you, and that's that mind. Also, as far as developing yourself physically, which should be mandatory, because this helps rejuvenate the body. Sijo has developed various forms that massage the organs on the inside when you do your katas or forms. Knowing the martial arts and the self-defense at such a level in which he teaches at, also being an elementary level. What I'm trying to say is that even a person on an elementary level can learn an advanced form or an advanced technique. And what saves your life is the way you think, knowing that if there's trouble around that corner, why take that route? You know, that's martial arts, that's thinking.
So it's a little different than just being physically strong,
right,
or
to kick and punch,
accurate to kick and punch.
Right,
that's what I'm trying. That's exactly what I was trying to get to. So that the misconception that people have about it, because I was mentioning to you, I had the opportunity several years ago to be a guest speaker at a full martial art, full contact exhibition. And as I was in there, if you don't mind me just going through this, as I was in there, you know, and I knew that at halftime, at the middle point, I was supposed to speak for half an hour. So I was watching and walking around and watching the skills of some of those who were going through their forms and demonstrating to each other, you know, before it was time for them to go into the arena. And as I walked around and I watched them, these were all African-American young men who were, as I looked at them, it was amazing to me to see the skills that they had developed with their physical bodies. But I was watching them and how they would, it seemed like all they wanted somebody to do was to step on their foot so that they can go into a rage, you know what I mean? This is the kind of attitude that they were demonstrating. And prior to me going on, I was just trying to observe how I was going to make the conversation when I got up there to speak. So when halftime came, I directed my attention to the senseis, to those who were the instructors, and I was saying how beautiful it was that they had developed such skill in these young men, but they didn't seem to have a mind, if you understand my point, right?
They're
so
robots.
It wasn't half an hour after I finished speaking that the whole place broke out fighting each other, you know? I mean, I'm not talking about in an arena for competition. They were fighting like they were trying to hurt each other, you see? And it saddened me because I say, well, this kind of a demonstration of what people think martial art is really would deter people from coming to it. You see what I mean? So I wanted to get your opinion of it, and what is it that we can do with our young people so that they don't grow in this air of just because they have these skills, because they're only going to hurt each other. They're not going anywhere else to demonstrate these things.
Well, this is true.
You know, so I just wanted to get some feedback from you on that kind of a response, because you're involved, and you've been involved in martial art for many, many years. I'm going way, way back, you see what I mean? And I noticed, like, even in the Upscale magazine, they have a thing here on you as an individual and your skill. What do you think, then, if I can? Because you're the sensei, or whatever your term now. You're Sijo, the father of the school, you know. What do you think is most important that you portray to young people, especially as an example, of course you're a Muslim, and you demonstrate that quality of being a good Muslim, you know what I mean? So what is it that you feel is best in order to give these young people so that they don't go off course with it once they learn the skills?
Basically, how we relate with the children is that the number one thing we try to focus on is for them to have respect for themselves, respect for their parents, and respect for their teacher, and respect for us. And once they begin to establish that within themselves, then they have already begin to become aware of the value of who they are. And when they begin to develop that value, then we can develop a dialogue with each other. And that dialogue is basically now it will begin to develop to the point where they will understand the philosophy of SWAM, which is the strong, wise, achieving mind. Like I explained to you before, those are our leaders of tomorrow, the children.
That's correct. That's exactly right.
And if we abandon the children, then what we do, we sever our life for the future.
Our future is lost.
You see, so our whole goal is communicating with the children, to teach the children to control their ego, to teach the children to be able to make them understand that they can accomplish whatever they want to. All SWAM is, like I told you before, is an igniting force to help them whatever they want to do.
Oh, excuse me.
You know,
Go ahead.
we want to, you know, we're very concerned about their grades in school. You know, we make acknowledgement to as far as their accomplishments in school, as far as their accomplishments outside of the school. If the students don't be there, we call up their parents and find out what the situation is and try to develop a relationship with the parents. And what's unique about the SWAM is that we have a beautiful instructor besides myself being the founder and him being the chief instructor. We have another chief instructor, which is my wife. So we have a family school.
Now, well, let's just talk about that for a minute, you know, women and the martial art, you know. Does it take the character away from a woman as far as her humility or the concepts of submission or, you know, the qualities that men look for in a woman? Would the martial art take that quality away from her?
No, actually what it do will enhance it. It will enhance the character in a man and a woman when they understand the pure nature of the art.
Okay.
So you got to go back to the origin of how the art was really, you know, developed in man's mind. See, like when the art was when we became aware of it, put it that way, when we became aware of the art, we didn't become aware of the art just to bowl our fists and punch each other in the mouth or kick each other in the head just because one person said a word that we didn't like.
Okay.
See, the martial arts is the part of us that help us physically become aware of our physical anatomy and physical strength. You see, I mean, like all the indigenous people of all parts of the world train the art. The Africans have their type of martial art, form of art. The Chinese, the Japanese, the caveman, everybody had their form of martial arts. You see, and what happened is that the martial arts help them with their balanced nature, help them become duly proportioned. You see, like Imam Muhammad said one time, man meet mind. And a lot of the Muslims, you know, they trained in martial arts in the first experience, but what happened when the Imam said man meet mind, they forgot the body. Okay. So they just focused on the prayer and that was it. They sat down and became fat and holy. You see, but what happens is that, like, you got to be duly proportioned. Man meet mind, but the body got a language too. Right. And when you train the martial arts, what happens is that you become aware of your physical anatomy, of your illnesses, you can heal yourself, whatever, but in the same token, you are prepared to deal with all kinds of circumstances, psychologically, physically, and mentally, at any given time.